Hey everyone, we are live from my backyard where I am smoking a brisket and some ribs. Smoking these meat smoking? It's smoking. I smoke meat, smoking meat, smoking these meats. Smoking meats earlier in the day, smoking these meats.
Most of your friends and their moms are on Facebook or one of its subsidiaries such as Instagram or WhatsApp. Many people simply see Facebook as a success, the same way they see Walmart or eBay. But some people are beginning to rethink their opinion, and this could mean an end to the Facebook we know today. And here's why.
The giant tech companies right now are eating up little tiny businesses, startups, and competing unfairly.
It's far too big, it's far too powerful, and most importantly, its CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, is not accountable.
Recently, people like Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and even Facebook's co-founder have called for the behemoth to be broken up. This all comes with a new wave of huge tech companies being called monopolies. A monopoly is when one company or group of people control so much of a market that makes it near impossible for other companies to compete. For example, in the late 1800s, John D. Rockefeller had so much influence over the oil industry, it was basically impossible to compete. If you tried to compete, you'd either just be bought out by Standard Oil, Rockefeller's company, or you just fail because you don't have the same economies of scale. This is obviously really bad because in a free market economy, it needs to be possible to start new companies without immediately getting taken out by the big guy. Even the Monopoly board game was made to show the bad side of monopolies. That's why it's so annoying when someone has a bunch of hotels and you keep landing on them. You can't even begin to compete with them without going into tons of debt and either selling all of your properties or just giving up.
Let us, with faith in God, in ourselves and in humanity, go forward, courageously resolved to play our part worthily in building a better world.
For companies today, though, the conversation is a bit different. Facebook isn't necessarily buying up every competitor, and it's not even making money from memberships. This wouldn't normally be seen as a monopoly at all, but social networks are only as good as the people on them. Just like you'd be less attracted to YouTube if I wasn't making videos, you probably wouldn't join Facebook if none of your friends were there. So even though there might be competition to Facebook, few people you'll know are on those apps, so Facebook gets the worm. Facebook also hasn't completely strayed away from buying things. Facebook owns Instagram and WhatsApp, two other huge networks. With such a large audience, Facebook can alter what a lot of people can see and what they can say, which can influence huge things like political movements, hate groups, and elections, which is why a lot of people want them broken up. But some opposers think splitting them up goes against the Constitution and capitalism.
So antitrust law is ultimately a really blunt instrument, and you have to justify a number of different steps in terms of monopolization, attempted monopolization, monopoly maintenance, and none of those criteria are met here. It's not even clear that...
So what's the answer? Well, to determine that, you have to look at what has been done in the past. Standard Oil was broken up by a special policy called the Sherman Act, which split Standard Oil from the companies it owned. This would make sense for Standard Oil, but would it make sense for a company like Facebook? Well, this is where the rules will have to be bent one way or another. In the early 1900s, there wasn't anything like Facebook, so the United States government needs to make a decision. It can either say that having control of what a lot of people see is a problem and will break up Facebook from Instagram and WhatsApp, or it will say that good business should just be rewarded and let it stay together. In the early 2000s, the government actually took action against Microsoft for having too much power. They did this because of Internet Explorer's mandated position on every single Microsoft computer, which made it a pain for people to download other browsers from the time, like Netscape or Opera. The US courts found that Microsoft was guilty, and had to change. But by the time the fix was issued by the government, Microsoft had changed its leadership and just made it easier for other browsers to be installed. A good thing for Microsoft because they never had to split up their power, but not exactly what the US wanted.
Facebook's not constraining innovation in any way. There's all sorts of different ways that people are competing every day, that you see TikTok, you see a number of these different apps sort of get deep penetration quickly. You have, a larger player in online advertising in Google. You have a larger player in messaging like Apple. All of these, companies should be competing. That's what the antitrust laws are ultimately about.
This is probably what Facebook will end up doing. Facebook has basically limitless resources and will do whatever it can to compromise without losing power. In reality, it's not doing much to prevent other companies from succeeding, and the government can't stop it for just being popular. Microsoft got away with Internet Explorer as Chrome became popular, and if there's something better than Facebook, people will migrate.